Obviously, everyone's scared of me as usual, except the camera people.
What's your message to these people then?
Dude, the message to these people is they need to fucking get better, because from what I see, they're not doing it right. Look, they're sitting on the road. I mean, I spit on these roads, man. What are these people doing, man?
I totally agree.
See, even this guy agrees. What are these fuckers doing here?
Well, let's put it another way. Britain, of course we could do more, but Britain is leading the way in carbon emission reduction. We are leading the way. This city is doing the same. Congestion charges, low emission charges, we're leading the way. So why, if you are all such great fucking campaigners, why do you come to our city? Why don't you go to Tiananmen Square in Beijing, or go to Red Square in Moscow, or Times Square in New York, and really show your balls? If you really want to be arrested, go there. Why do you disrupt our city where we're actually fighting your cause and leading the way? You guys are cowardly. You're just taking a holiday at the expense of the British business public and the travelling public and all our tourists, and frankly I think it's disgraceful. I am 100% in favour of what you're trying to suggest and do, 100% in favour, and I support you, but you've lost my vote. You are a bunch of cowards, and you shouldn't be here, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. Go to Tiananmen Square, go to Red Square, go to Times Square, and then see whether you want to be arrested for what you're trying to do. Bunch of arseholes, all of you.
Sorry.
We love you! This country, would you like to be arrested in Moscow? Would you like to be arrested in China?
No.
Right, well go and fucking do it then. Well, demonstrate up there. Rather than pissing us around, I'm a businessman, you are costing us millions of fucking dollars, and you are just self-indulgent assholes.
Could you please don't shout?
Swear, young man. No need to swear.
Please don't shout. We're non-violent. We're trying to just get our point across. So we would like you to offer your point in a similar way. If we're offering you causing an inconvenience.
But I do.
Yes. So
I mean, we look at Sky and the plastic. Look at the ocean plastic thing.
That's what
we are leading the way, this country, and yet you've chosen to pick the primary part for your objection as our country. Why? Why don't you go to China and do this?
Because we live here, and with the
well, it's a systemic. Go and get a visa and go to China and do it. What's the point of disrupting us?
Because it's a systemic problem across the world.
Well, I've listened to some idiot of yours that was on Sky News yesterday morning who came over as nothing other than, frankly, a sort of a Nazi.
That's what you're coming across now. Is quite an aggressive person, and we're trying.
I'm not an aggressive person.
Well, please don't.
I'm a fairly decent, quiet Welshman, and I am very, very fed up. And we've got beautiful countryside in Wales, and I want to preserve it.
I live in Wales.
And I mean, I think you guys, you're doing the wrong thing. You're pissing people off, like me. You don't need to be pissing me off.
A lot of people.
I'm sorry we pissed you off, but I hope you have a lovely day anyway. There's nothing more we can say to change your mind.
Can I explain something? There's this figure which is that our carbon emissions have gone down by 44% since 1970, but this figure is a complete lie. So what this vote is about is telling the people about the lie that is being told by the media. Can I finish explaining? This figure doesn't include aviation, it doesn't include international shipping, which all have skyrocketed, which means our country is doing a terrible job at solving the climate emergency.
But what about other countries? Do you agree that our country is doing a better job than most other countries?
Yes, but we're a West.
Right? So you agree with that?
We're a West.
Our country is doing a better job than most other countries. So why are you demonstrating here? Why don't you go to places that are doing a worse job than us and demonstrate there? Why do you want to disrupt this lovely city?
I can explain.
It's basically doing everything it reasonably can.
I can explain. We're an incredibly privileged, rich country in the West, one of the richest countries in the world.
Well, we won't be rich if you carry on like this.
We'll be rich in a very different way. We'll have rich.
You are delusionary.
If we go back to plastics, for example, the UK is only recycling about 0.5% of our plastic.
I'm sorry, mate.
China has stopped accepting
I
plastic.
agree with everything you're trying to say.
Yes.
You're saying it in the wrong way, and you're saying it to the wrong audience at the wrong time, and this is bullshit what you're doing. This is basically a nice sunny holiday for you.
He's doing a good job.
Because I'm not I think the right way is to continue just to educate the government and have them accelerate what they're doing.
And how can we do that?
I don't know, but this doesn't work. All you're doing is you've alienated me. I mean, I began this week absolutely kind of in favour of you, and I'm now not with you anymore at all. I think you're just a bunch of wasters.
We're trying to get you on board.
That's why you're not. It's because you've been so disrupted that you're not with XR anymore.
You are disrupting the very transport system that you all want us to go on to. I mean, what kind of logic is that?
In the long,
that's no business logic whatsoever.
In the long term, we're talking about mass migration, flooding, mass drought.
Well, look, I really hope we're not. I really hope we're not, and I share your concern. I think that there are.
Do you think it's an emergency? Do you think there's an emergency
I think
going
it's.
on in the world?
I believe that there is something that needs to be addressed, and I'm not sure I'd declare it an emergency yet. And I do believe that our country, the country that you're disrupting right now, is actually at the forefront of trying to correct it. Now, you may say we're not doing enough, but we're doing a hell of a lot more than a lot of other countries. And what you should be doing is promoting our country and letting us and leading us to do more. And if you really want to sit and protest, and if you really got all these brave people that want to be arrested and will deliberately damage property to make sure you're arrested, then go and sit in Tiananmen Square, go and sit in Red Square, and go and sit in Times Square and deal with the police in those countries. And leave our police alone. We've got enough things to do.
Do you know what? I like your passion, and that's the same passion that everyone here has. The same passion, and we're saying the same
but I will never join your cause while you're doing this.
You don't need to join.
I will never join your cause while you're doing this.
We're on the same page.
I've deliberately walked up here from Piccadilly Circus. I was going to get the tube back to Marylebone to catch the train, environmentally friendly. And I thought, no, I'm going to walk up because I was here 2 days ago and you were messing this place up. You're still messing this place up, and I wanted to come and say my piece. And I've said it. I respect your views. I respect your views. You're absolutely, you're entitled to do it in our democracy, in our country. But I think you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think you buggered this one up. And I think you're losing more sympathy than you're gaining. I really do, and you need to recognise that.
When will be the right time to do it then?
I don't know.
I thought you knew. It seems you know a lot about it.
I don't.
Because
the right time to do it is not to do it by disrupting the centre of London, is it?
Okay, can you give
not
us a
one of the
solution?
countries that is leading the way in what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I agree.
You mess us around.
I agree. Yeah,
What is the point? What's the point of that?
Thanks. Thank you for sharing, and maybe, I think come back again maybe in another time and we'll see. Maybe.
Well, I hope when I come back here you're not here.
Maybe you've seen a different side. Maybe we've seen a different side. But we appreciate you at least coming up to see what is happening.
Can I ask you a question? You say we're leading away. Yeah, you said our country is leading away in saving our planet. So Kenya, which we all know, managed to ban plastic bags 2 years ago. So how can we lead away if we're not able to do that?
England is breaking the law in carbon
So how
emissions.
do you feel about that?
And I think we put a charge on plastic bags 3 years ago, didn't we?
It's not enough.
But that's not
enough.
They banned plastic bags because they recognise how dangerous they are for the environment, and we're going halfway. We're charging. We're still giving money to corporations to produce plastic bags.
With
so we are not leading away.
to Kenya, which is a country I went to many years ago to be best man at a wedding for a great friend of mine. With no disrespect to Kenya, I think banning plastic bags in Kenya is nowhere near as influential on the planet and the ocean as starting to charge for bags in Great Britain. And we basically, in my country, Wales, we put the charge on first.
But did you
It's now
disagree?
followed here, and I'm all in favour. And by the way, I carry a bag for life. I don't take plastic bags from Marks and Spencer's because I also respect the oceans. I love the ocean.
Of course, we all do. That's why we're here. But don't you think?
No, that's not why you're here.
Well, I
You're
know
here
why
to
I'm here.
disrupt,
That's not true.
And I mean, you're preaching to the wrong audience. Can't you get this
We're not
around
preaching.
your heads?
But we're not preaching. That's the difference. We're not preaching. We're raising awareness of the issues are.
The awareness is already there. Do you think
Not
the British
really.
public are completely stupid?
The public knows.
Public
It's the
knows.
government.
The British public knows.
No, government doesn't do anything about it.
Take your brave activists and glue yourselves to the Kremlin. Glue yourselves to the buildings around Tiananmen Square
Why would I do
and the
that?
buildings in time.
Well,
Because you're talking to governments that really should do more.
I mean,
But
there's
no,
plenty
your
of
guys aren't
governments.
brave enough to do that. We're a soft touch. You are.
I'm half Russian,
You
so
are
don't worry.
cowards.
I'm a half Russian, so
Я
don't
говорю
worry.
по-русски, если надо.
Don't worry.
Can I just say something to you? You're probably about the same age as me, but you've really alienated these people. A lot of them
you're
are a lot
screaming
younger.
at them, really
I'm
quite
appalled by that my
Yeah.
generation is doing this and you're not listening.
You're not listening
Completely in
to
support of
anything
these
we're trying to
people.
say.
And you've got yourself in a right old pickle, you're sweating,
Yeah.
you're shouting, you're getting angry. And that's not the way to do it, because actually these people will be long gone.
It's because
and they'll
I
have
am
to deal with a
angry.
deep.
Do you realise what this is costing London? Do you realise the lives that this is disrupting?
Take the money away.
I mean, you complain when the unions strike on the tube, right?
I've got
No,
another
we
quick
don't.
one.
I mean, this is a bit
We
like
don't.
that.
I've got a quick point for you about the 12 million pounds. There was a quote that somebody said this is costing this.
I've got no idea whether that's right or not.
So Mark Carney, who's the governor of the Bank of England, and the head of the central bank, both said yesterday that the biggest threat to the world's economies, and specifically that of Britain and France, was climate change. And that is going to affect the whole world, and particularly our
system,
countries,
and your
to an
financial
extent that is so far. And one is about short term, and one is about something a little longer.
But
and unfortunately, we are suffering a little bit of short
I
term
don't
pain.
necessarily disagree with that.
No, that's great.
But I
that's the
don't
point.
agree with the way you're going about
But
this.
what else has changed?
I mean, one day might have been acceptable. But to basically, over Easter holidays, when families are trying to bring their kids into London, they've got a rare opportunity at the school holidays and all the rest of it. And what have we got? We got you lot disrupting everything.
Can I just quickly stop you there?
I mean, I don't think it's fair.
Well, the thing
And
about
I don't think.
protecting those children. Yeah, the young people are going to be the ones who suffer. And again, it's about the short term versus the long term. A small Easter holiday versus the future in 10 years when the entire economy has collapsed, civilization has collapsed, and we're literally eating tins of beans with our
The
teeth.
entire economy will not have collapsed in 10 years, and civilization
I'm
will
afraid
not
you may
have
have got the wrong
collapsed.
end of the stick of how the science is going down.
You don't know that.
Well, they were saying that 10 years ago, and it didn't happen, did it?
They said that the ice caps would be where they are, and they've got worse than they said they would be. So I think things get sometimes a lot worse than predicted. There's the science. We're arguing about nature and science.
And
right?
how much of it is actually the cyclical nature of
Right, so if
nature?
you're going to deny climate change, then that's.
I mean, how many dinosaurs drove cars around?
If you're denying man-made climate change, then this is an entirely different
How many
conversation.
dinosaurs drove cars?
Okay. Okay, this is the end of the conversation, really. Thanks very much, though.
Have a good day. We love you.
Thank you.
We love you
so much. No, thank you. I've enjoyed meeting you. Look, I absolutely, passionately support your cause. All I'm basically saying is I think you're going about it the wrong way. And if you can't appreciate that amongst yourselves...
I've got one question. If you've got a better idea about how you can get this to happen, we are all ears. And this is literally because the petitions haven't worked, the Greenpeace giving £3 a month hasn't worked, none of the tactics over the last 40 years have worked. So now we've reached a point where this is essentially a kind of desperate finale. And if there was a way, we'd love to know what it is. That's that simple.
Well, this won't work either.
We'll find out.
So we'll have to figure out another way,
We'll get there
won't
in the end. We'll work it out. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
This won't work.
Thank you for the conversation.
You're making enemies of people.
We'll find out.
Love you.
Thank you.
You all take care.